And thank you for braving the plummeting temperatures to be here with us this morning. We will not have you outdoors very long, but we are again so happy that you're with us. We are here this morning for our official ribbon cutting and open house for the Macon County Schools Music Technology Laboratory. You are here at our Career Tech Center. This is 1902 Taylor Street, Tuskegee, Alabama. Of course, it is the very first day of November 2019. I am Jacqueline Brooks, and again, I greet you and welcome each of you for being here. I will say to you, this is really a dream come true for us. As you know, Tuskegee-Macon County has several pillars of legacy, history, and greatness, and music, of course, being one of them. Anytime you turn on the radio, anytime you speak of Tuskegee and Macon County, you can think about the great legacy we have in music. We have some legacy people with us today that you'll be interacting with and meeting. And again, we welcome each of you to this wonderful opportunity for ribbon cutting and an open house today for our Music Technology Laboratory. At this time, with the various incidents in our state and across our nation, we feel it is more than fitting to bow our heads for a moment of silence. Please join me. Amen. At this time, we will have greetings from three wonderful people with whom I get to interact on a pretty frequent basis. The first is the director of our Career and Technical Education Center here, and this is Dr. Melvin A. Lowe III. He will bring you brief greetings.
I need to say thank you to everyone for being here. It is a great day. This is November 1st, and it's a wonderful situation that the weather held back for this grand opening for our Music Tech Lab. This is an asset, and it is a program that we welcome. It encompasses all of our programs in Career Tech. Before you leave, I would like to ask that everyone tour all of our programs so you can see what we do in STEM education, now encompassing arts into our STEM education programs at the Tech Center. Thank you, and good morning, and happy holidays.
And the lady that I characterize as a behind-the-scenes, though often upfront, mover, shaker, innovator, and communicator, Ms. Kim Davis.
I want you to know this is indeed a very, very special day for the children, the young people of Tuskegee and Macon County. Now I'm going to look at Dr. Panion because when we met for the very first time, he was so warm and welcoming. And when we talked about possibilities of what this could be, he said yes. I like yes people who dream big and who want to do innovative things. That's who you are. And so I want to personally say thank you again for the confidence that you expressed in wanting to come to this historic town, my hometown, Tuskegee. And so the fruits of your labor, the fruits of your labor, the fruits of yes are what we are about to experience and see and enjoy today. This is special for me because it's all about the young people of this great community, our Tuskegee. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you so much, Kim. You know, both people who've already brought greetings are very special to us. As I said, Dr. Lowe operates this center and makes sure that all of our programs are running efficiently, effectively, and impacting the lives of kids each and every day. We have one of our co-workers from our central office staff. She's passing out our family magazine to you, and you can see that this program is featured, and there's a lot of information, extraordinary things about the next person who's coming to the stage. I want to say that it was because of Kim that I met him. Didn't know his name, had not heard of the wonderful work that he was doing, which of course was my loss. But Kim caused this to be my gain when she said, "There is a man." from Birmingham, Alabama. University of Alabama at Birmingham, UAB as we call it, that you need to meet. She said, I even brought you some pictures. And she pulls out her phone and she begins the scroll. And I see Macs. I see MIDI devices. I see young children that look like our children here doing amazing things. We said, we want it. We need it. We have a legacy. We said yes. Kim said yes. Dr. Panion, with his full slate and array of activities, festivities, duties, directions, leadership, said yes. 2 hours and 15 minutes away, he said yes. And so the next person I would like to bring to the stage to greet you is none other than the famous, the notorious in some cases. He was the head drum major for Alabama A&M University once upon a time. The illustrious Dr. Henry Panion III. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand on your feet for this great individual who has brought this great opportunity to our students here in Macon County. Dr. Panion.
It's too early and cold to cry, I tell you. Stuff freeze up on my skin, you know, get all ashy and stuff, you know. All seriousness and all joking aside, let me just tell you that I am a dreamer, you know, and when you're in the arts, I was a little boy, and I never forget being on the streets playing basketball with my buddies, and they said, "Dog, Panion, every time we see you, you going to band practice, you coming from band practice?" And they didn't know. I'd be hanging out on the street with my boys and in the house listening to Sound of Music with my sister. You know, and many years later, the Lord has really, really blessed me in enormous ways. So we really don't have a choice. I am blessed so that I can be a blessing. Amen. And I just so praise the Lord for that. I want to say one other thing. I know this is a greeting, and I don't want to take too long of a time here. But when I first started arranging, and I'll just tell this story, when I first started arranging music, I was asked to write music for a church convention. And it was a large convention, the Pentecostal Assemblies of the World, and we have churches all over the world. And I was asked to come, you know, and I would joke. They would say, "We'll give you a love offering," and I joke when I get the offering and say, "There wasn't much love in this offering." And it's really amazing that way back when I first started, there was this pastor by the name of Elder Howard Tillman, who asked me to come along and do some arranging for him when he became the Young People's President. And the only reason I'm saying this today, because many years later, we're talking 35, 40 years later, I see someone I haven't seen in 35, 40 years who was right there, and that's Bishop Leo Lewis. And he will remember those days in Columbus, Ohio, and just wanted to be an arranger. Just, you know, I was so happy to have people just to look at my music, not to mention play it, just to look at it. And that led to the one that's been invited to the convention. I become their arranger. Quincy Jones signed them. That record gets a Grammy. And then the rest is just history. And I don't want to make this about me, but what I'm saying is it took someone saying, "I'll give you a chance. Yes. I'll let you do this." Hadn't had a chance to prove myself at all. Just happy to be a musician, happy to be a Levite. And I tell you, I look back many years. So these things, I am blessed when Kim, Ms. Davis, and Dr. Brooks came to Birmingham. And let me tell you, they sat there at Audio State, and Dr. Brooks said, "You know, this would be nice." She went over to our lab and saw our kids. And she said, "No, this would be nice to do." Okay, I'm thinking that we start talking this year, put some plans together next year. And then maybe by the next year, we might have a lab. They were in my office in May. This lab was up for the kids in August. And I mean, it was simply amazing. So there's so much more I could say, but I think that we all have an opportunity right where we are to just bless those around us, It doesn't have to be big and glorious. Just do what you can do. And this is my little small contribution so that some kid might be inspired to want to go on and be all that they can be. So I just thank you, Dr. Brooks. I thank you, Ms. Davis, and all the wonderful people I've become friends with down here in Tuskegee and Macon County. I really appreciate you all. So welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing a little bit of our story, Dr. Panion. It is very touching to me. I want to just tell you that I appreciate the patience of Dr. Panion, the staff that he will introduce momentarily, the career tech staff, all of my co-workers. Co-workers, raise your hands. They're in the audience. You can see them. Because one thing, and I call it my bosses here from School Superintendents of Alabama, we're allocated what we call teacher units. We don't get any special funding really for a program like this in the arts. And so we have to find a way to do it. And so I come from what we call the quilt theory. And I don't know if you know what the quilt theory is. But my grandmother always amazed me at the warmth she was able to bring to our house and our beds at night through a process called quilting. And she would take what we call old garments, pillowcases, dresses, pants that were too small, flour sacks, any of those things. And she would make quilt pieces out of them. And then she would sew the quilt pieces by hand together. And then she would add a lining, and she would take some cotton, not the cotton like we see today, I'm talking about some brown cotton with seeds in it, and we would roll it out and put it in between the two pieces. Then we would sew them together, and then we would put it on quilting horses, and by hand we would quilt the stitches in it. And when she finished, we would have a quilt that, I'm telling you, 40 years later, I still have these quilts. But the quilt theory is that you may not have much, but what you have, take something and make something great out of it. And that's how this program is running, folks. It's on the quilt theory. I'm on credit with Dr. Panion all the time, saying, okay, let me put a little piece of this grant together. Let me see what we have sitting over here in this pot. Let me see how we can make it work. And that's what my job is to be the quilt lady behind the scenes, to bring things to our children and to make things work. And so we thank all of our partners. We thank all of you who have helped in your own special way to bring this program to fruition. And it's on the quilt theory now, so I'm going to need some more quilt pieces. You know what that means. Some stitches, some stitchers to help us keep this program running. And so with that, I would like Dr. Panion to introduce the special guests that we have with us, those that have come on behalf of the school system and the local community. I'll come back and ask you to stand and be recognized, and any other special guests that you're invited that are here.
Well, I want to talk about the program just a little bit, and then I think that's what I'm supposed to do. And one of the things about technology, I always say to our students at UAB, if all you want to do is drive across the street to the 7-Eleven, you can do that in your Pinto. You don't need a Ferrari for that. But if you do have a Ferrari, it's important to kind of understand what you have so you can appreciate what it's capable of doing. Technology is just a tool. And you heard Dr. Lowe talk about the importance of STEM education. Everything we do in music technology really is it's STEM. It is computer science, it's engineering, it's math, it's creative thinking, it's reasoning. It's all those things that takes place before the artistic part comes into it. As we want to build this program, we want to do more than just put equipment in here that would be flash in the pan. I mean, it's exciting one day, cool buzz, you know, and we get that out, and then all of a sudden it just goes away. So it's really, really important to partner with some national institutions that could help us to do this. And some of my associates could not be here, but I'm going to tell you who they are. One is the Berklee College of Music. Most of you have heard of Berklee College of Music, and one of the programs that we have that they had a large grant to build is called PULSE. PULSE is an acronym for Pre-University Learning System Experience, where you literally can be there and learn about the whole industry of making music. You can sit here and have a lesson with Quincy Jones right on the computer lab. They got a large grant to do that, but they couldn't sell it. They had to give it to like-minded programs. And so we asked them to partner with us to let us to have Pulse as a regular part of our curriculum. So every day, and I'm really doing an abbreviated version of this, but imagine sitting here and you're learning about theory, you're learning about acoustics, you're learning about science, and you're hearing from those very same industry leaders or professors at Berkeley that's teaching it to their college kids, the same lesson plans. And so we go through all of that right in this lab. Dr. Brooks will talk more about Apple and their contribution. But one of the things that we have also is some of the amazing software from companies like Avid. Avid is the leading manufacturer of all the industry entertainment software. That includes Media Composer for film scoring. So every movie that you go see, 99% of those movies are done with a software program called Media Composer. These kids have that. You see video today, they'll be using that. They use Pro Tools. A lot of people have heard about Pro Tools. All the records in the industry are learned on Pro Tools. And then Sibelius, the scoring software. And the symptoms that you see in any printed music. When I first started writing music, I started writing, and by writing so much music, I have knots on my hand from copying the parts. Because after you arrange the music, what do you have to do? You got to write the individual parts. It's not, you know, it's work for a monk up in a monastery somewhere. It's not work for a creative artist. But technology today will allow all of that. So Avid is the company that has allowed us to do that. We partner with the Grammys, the Grammy Music Education Coalition, and their CEO wanted to be here, but he's getting married in Bolivia today, actually. And I really ragged him about not being here, because I wish he had told me earlier. But the Grammy Music Education Coalition is an organization that basically has brought together all the leading manufacturers of music. That includes the National Association of Music Merchants. It includes NARAS. This is the foundation for the Grammys. It includes organizations like the Country Music Association, the Bohemian Rhapsody, Mr. Harlan Locust Foundation. It's a long list. And we've asked them to come and partner with the state of Alabama, in particular these programs. So we're looking forward to that as well. So I'm really excited about that and all the things we do. We have a representative from the Bicentennial Program, Susan. And I've been working, as most of you know, and I always forget Susan's last name. I apologize. DuBose.
But he's been working hard.
But you know, the state of Alabama has been celebrating its bicentennial for the last 3 years. We will culminate that celebration in at December 14th, the weekend here, 200 years. And we've been partnering with them, working with them on the celebration of the bicentennial in the state. So I'm just really, really happy. And the most important person in my life here is my wife. Carol Bang. Carol and I have been celebrating our 32nd wedding anniversary. All right. I'm celebrating the future. But we have 3 wonderful kids. It's not 4, right? 3 wonderful kids, and guess what? They're all out of the house. So, but no, Carol was there with me when we first met, and I was in graduate school. So she's seen every piece of music I've written. And so we praise God for that. But wouldn't it be wonderful if one day we're looking around and the Lionel Riches of the world and people like that. And I was actually speaking to one of his amazing attorneys, Joe Katz. You can look that name up and you'll know who he is when you read that name, K-A-T-Z. Talking to him just yesterday and about Lionel and talking about how all the wonderful things and what we're doing here. And it's amazing how people like that recognize the importance of Tuskegee. You know, he's all over the world. And you know, we couldn't do programs like this if we did not have great teachers, because the gear is one thing, and I always tell our students, it's not in the gear, it's in the ear. And it's something I have to harbor on, because the gear is cool, but it's all in what you hear in your ear. So we were very fortunate, and this is a blessing too, to have 3 individuals, 4 really, one's on internship this semester, to be working with us to guide our students on a daily basis. And they really, 2 of them are your products. One is Miss Leah Stewart. And Leah's from Tuskegee. And basically, she's a senior at Alabama State. But y'all didn't do too well this past weekend. That's okay. We won't go there. I know you said I just did, right? But she's a wonderful teacher, pedagogue, and when you just see how she interacts with these kids, just blew my mind this summer. And we're so fortunate to have her be a part of this program. We also have Mr. Young Martin Luther King right here. He's named for you know who. Martin's a great programmer, writer. He's also a senior at Alabama State, studying computer music with one of my graduates from UAB, Dr. Henry Kidd. So we're really fortunate to have them there, and Mr. Nixon, who's actually on internship, I think, in New York this semester, he will be back. He's an engineering major at Tuskegee. But on a daily basis, I have lockstep with a beautiful individual, kind, patient, a wonderful musician, and our leader on a daily basis. You know, and he will FaceTime me at the most inopportune times. Every single day it sings, but we're so fortunate to have Mr. Jerome Temple guiding us here every single day. And you kind of know these things are God-inspired when they work together like that. That bringing the right people, the relationships that we have, and how that has worked. You know, we can, through technology, I can just be anywhere and bring them up on Zoom and be in the class. I mean, just amazing how that has changed what we can do. So a lot of other things I could say, and there's probably some other people here I probably should mention. And but I really want to thank you, Dr. Brooks, Dr. Lowe, and Ms. Davis, and others for having us here. I'll tell you more inside.
And I too would like to thank Mrs. Panion for allowing Dr. Panion to be here with us. And when I was on the phone the other day, I did warn him, because I was celebrating my 30th wedding anniversary, and I did warn him to get that right. So there are a few people we would like to recognize that are in the audience. As I said, I have my lovely co-workers, principals, central office staff, and students here with us. Of course, you can tell the students, they're bundled and huddled up really well. But my co-workers from the Macon County Board of Education, please raise your hand just so that everyone can see you. These are the behind-the-scenes people. But we have some other folks who have come from, as we say, higher up, who are here with us today. And I'm going to start with my Board of Education member, Miss Mary Hooks. Ms. Hooks, please stand. This is our Board of Education Vice President. And the Board of Education, of course, had to give us permission to have this program, and they gladly did so, because music is a part of our strategic plan as well as STEM education. We also have a number of elected officials with us, and you're going to have to help me now to make sure I don't miss anybody. But I know starting at the state level, I see our representative, our very own Representative Peblin Warren. Please raise your hand. She's one of the persons we'll be calling on for some quilt pieces.
Look here.
We are happy, very happy.
I got the governor on speed dial right now, okay?
Thank you. Very happy to have her with us. When we also think about the state level, I'm a member of a very wonderful and supportive organization known as School Superintendents of Alabama, and they do a lot to also help legislation move along. And we have with us our Executive Director of School Superintendents of Alabama, Mr. Ryan Hollingsworth. Ryan. And I'll just say that both of these individuals are very important, because we have some special legislation that allows us to do what we call an instructor's waiver. And it is because of that instructor's waiver we're able to get a person from the field to come in and be able to teach. Normally, Mr. Temple would not be able to be a music teacher unless he went to school in music education. But he's been in the field for decades, and we were able to use that waiver to bring him in. So I thank you for that legislation, and our state superintendent who's out of the country right now, Dr. Eric Mackey. We also have one of our mayors for Macon County, the city of Tuskegee, Mayor Tony Haygood. Mayor Haygood, please stand. Let everyone see you. This is the mayor of our wonderful city of Tuskegee.
So it's great to see you. Thanks, man.
Absolutely wonderful. And we know that you guys will do a lot of collaborating and reestablishing connections very shortly. We also have, do we have any other elected officials? I thought I saw there he is. We have our probate judge, Judge Cooper, in the audience with us. We're very happy to have him as well. And we have the executive director of our Tuskegee Area Chamber of Commerce, who's been working with me behind the scenes and guiding us in this process, Ms. Karen Hopkins. Our editor of our family magazine is with us as well, and so you should have a copy there, and he's taking pictures, so you may very well be in the next edition. Mr. Noah Hopkins, Karen's counterpart. And so I think those are all of our elected officials, but we do have our advisory board with us. So we have created an advisory board. We've been meeting informally, and we're going to continue to formalize this process because we need experts to help us with this process, to help us locate and quilt together those pieces that are needed to keep this program in existence and to grow the program and to hopefully help replicate it throughout the state, because that's Dr. Panion's vision, is that this should be afforded to students all over the state of Alabama, and he's worked all over the world doing this. And so we're not selfish in Macon County. We want the kids in Bullock, the kids in Lowndes, the kids everywhere, because all kids are our kids. And so our advisory board members, please stand up. Former Mayor Lasenia Dunn, please stand up. We have some other, Dr. Barr, I thought I saw. Kim, Mr. Leonard, Mr. Malone, Mr. Duncan. These are members of our advisory board, and if you're interested in serving on our advisory board, we definitely have absolutely more room for you. So thank you so very much. Did we skip anyone, Dr. Panion or Kim or Karen? You guys are my guides. But we thank each of you for being here with us this morning. And now we will move into the ribbon cutting. And Karen will direct us, and so we need Dr. Panion, Ms. Kim Davis, Dr. Melvin Lowe, and Mr. Jerome Temple to please.
You're practicing right now, right?
We would like Board Member Hooks, Representative Warren, Mayor Haygood, and I think the probate judge to please join us for a picture here. We'll just hold both hands. Okay. No, you're okay. Now, don't move, people, don't move. We need. There you go.
Life that we've been looking With my guy Kawawa in the cowboy made enemy, and that's just reality. That's not leaving, that's unbelievable. Brothers to me, family's key. We are the king, I am the king. Kicking my destiny, yeah, that's me. Baseball, I'm an all-star. Basketball, I'm a point guard. Football, I play it all because you know I work hard. I believe I can make it. Cause some people are the greatest. Just cause we don't always make it.
Feels like I'm stuck in the wheel. When you feel rich, it's a ring bell. Rich really came from the juice. Now I'm down to my next from the glisten. I don't want to leave home for just a visit. I can like you, never get to see.
I believe I can make it. Cause some people are the greatest. Just cause we don't always make it. We are making it stronger.
So, we didn't mean for this to be like an audience thing. Oh, yeah, I'm talking over this a little bit. We didn't mean for y'all to be sitting here as an audience, but since you're here, we'll get some of the process. So, when the students come, you can see actually some of the software that they're working with. One is GarageBand. We use GarageBand. We use a program called Reason. And if we can get some of this software fired up, guys, that I'm talking about, I want to show just a few things about it, like Reason on one of these computers. One of the things I like some of the software before, it was just virtually impossible to have these types of programs if you did not go to a major recording studio, because it was just too expensive. So with technology and scientists being able to take the algorithms, mathematical equations and formulas and do physical modeling on analog gear that's very expensive, and take that very same principle and through electronics and computer science build those same equipment. So when you go out and you hear a major record by an artist, I'll give you an example. Michael Jackson's last album, one of his famous, turn next a little bit, one of his famous engineers is named Bruce Sweeting. Now, when Bruce Sweeting comes out to engineer a record, let me tell you how it works. He goes to a recording studio, and typically a recording studio, a major studio like that, would cost about $2,500 a day. The engineer would cost about $2,500 to $3,000 a day. So you're spending $5,000 a day in a major studio, and then what Bruce Sweeting does, because of what he does and for those great sounds with Michael Jackson, I'm using him as an example. 2 or 3 transfer trucks will pull up to the studio, and all of his racks of equipment will start being pulled off, and he'll line outside the building, line outside the hallways, and patch in all of his gear to the recording studio. Now, that was the old days. And very few people were able to work in studios like that. And that's why it costs so much money. But technology is wonderful because the prices stay the same, but the technology goes up. So I was actually in Hawaii. We were in Hawaii, and most of you have heard of an artist by the name of Herbie Hancock. And Herbie is known for his equipment. Both of you have followed him. You know the racks of gear. And I'm looking at Herbie Hancock perform, and he's on stage, I'm hearing all this sound, and it's nothing but a grand piano and his laptop. I said, what in the world is going on? And Herbie was the first person I know to use. Do we have Reason up anywhere, Martin? Okay, it's on this station right here. So, can we bring it on this one right here? Bring it up right here for me if you don't mind. I'm going to show you something. What makes this software so important? Because it's all about the tools, it's all about the knowledge, it's all about the access. So if you're living in LA or New York or even Nashville, and you're willing to go there and kind of pay your dues, learn, then maybe you get a chance to become an engineer and kind of work around? Well, this software here is called Reason. And when I heard Herbie Hancock do it, all this equipment, you begin to build your racks with the very same equipment that a Bruce scene would have. And the beautiful thing about it is that when students are learning about the recording industry, the biggest problem with a studio is that we can't turn the studio loose, because one piece of gear, like this reverb unit here, would probably cost about $5,000 just one of them. If you hear that great vocal on Save It All About, what's that Dolly Parton song that Whitney Houston sang? Yeah, that vocal, what made that record sound so great is her vocal. But the one reverb unit on that one track is a $25,000 reverb unit, just for her vocal. Not to mention all the other gear. But that's been simulated and emulated and redesigned for this rack. So therefore, when students learn, not only do they learn about how the technology works, they learn engineering. And engineering is nothing but signal flow. One signal going to the next one, going to the next one. They learn about that without getting shocked. So they can come in and push the tab key on that for me. Now watch this rack. Push the tab key. You must not be in my class. Now, they're right there. It's kind of hard to see on this keyboard. Look very carefully. What happens when I hit tab? See all those wires?
No.
That's like being in a real studio and you learn how to wire, how to connect. And every computer has this software on it. It's mind-boggling, it's revolutionary. And then what we can do is we can build. So if they blow up an amplifier, I don't care here if they blow it up, because what we do, we just restart the computer. But if they blow it up in my studio, it costs me $5,000, $10,000, you see. So that's why having labs like these and places where, I guess the analogy would be, if you have a pilot or an astronaut learning how to fly a space shuttle, they do it in what? A flight simulator. So, given this access, and when I tell you the major software that we have on these stations is mind-blowing. The other person I'm thinking about Will I Am. If you remember when Will I Am came out with the Black Eyed Peas, they had this little hit that I loved called "Where's the Love," which was a Donna Hathaway, Roberta Flack song, right? I think. And way back there we made it. All he used was this software, and the other one we have one called GarageBand. So you heard me say the tools are wonderful, but it's still about the ear. So giving the students access to the tools, but giving them the training properly to use the tools, really equate to the kind of education they would get anywhere in the world. So that's all the spiel I'm going to say, and I'm going to dissect. So there you are, and you can kind of play. If you want to come and play around the computer, please do. But we were not going to do this. You're supposed to be eating cookies and right now. But we just wanted to, since you were here as an audience, I figured I'd kind of tell you a few things about the lab. And the one thing I should have said out there was, we have 3 classes a day of students in here. So they take music technology as a class. So the buses bring these kids every single day, and we have it organized on the 3 blocks. So Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Sorry, Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Fridays are 4-hour experimental days. And then twice a quarter we bring them up to our studios in Birmingham and UAB, and they get a chance to experience that. One of the cool things, and Dr. Brooks will recall this, and don't start me talking, Dr. I'll start talking, I will not shut up. Don't say amen. I will say this one thing, because this is the kind of experiences that are important. It's one thing for us to be here and talk about this, but you know how it is. Sometimes the prophet doesn't have any honor in their own home. And it's always good when students can interact with people who've been there and done that, right? So last year we brought the kids through Macon County, and it was just before the last season of Games of Thrones was coming out. But we had a big surprise for them. They didn't know it. So they come to UAB, we show them the campus, and we show them all of our labs and recording studios and like that. And they went to one of the labs with our music tech majors. And we were being presented by Mike Hand, the sound designer of all dialogue for every season of Games of Thrones. And they were see him talking about the last season and how he engineered the sound and how it was expected and all of that. But those kinds of experiences are really, really important, because if you can see how they've done it and they can tell you how they did it, then maybe you can feel like, well, you know what, I can do that too. So that's what we're about. I'm through.
We are so fortunate to be in a partnership with Apple, and some of you may know in 2015 Tim Cook did come down and he spent time with us, and Robin Roberts from Good Morning America, and we were featured on the show. But Apple is always looking for us to go to the next big thing. And so when I saw Kim's photos of Dr. Panion's music tech lab in Birmingham, the first thing I noticed was that he was using Apple computers. And so partnership immediately entered my mind. A big quilt piece, Apple. And so we made contact with our Apple partners and said, these are the things we need in the lab. Can you guys help us get the iMacs? And these are the specifications Dr. Panion wants. And because they saw us doing more with their equipment, then they provided the computers for us. So that was part of that partnership. And last year, we had our Apple team in, and they met Dr. Panion, and they saw some of the videos, and they saw what the kids were doing, Steve Lee. And Steve took that back to the Apple headquarters. And so when our Apple Connect Ed grant ended, which it ended after 3 years, it was 114 school systems. 20 school systems were selected for another 3 years. And guess who was selected? Macon County. But it was because of what they saw happening here with the Music Tech Lab. So when we can bridge those collaborations and join those quilt pieces, it's great for all of the school system, all of the student body, all of the community. So I did not want you to leave without me giving kudos to Apple for the role that their company has played in our success. Okay. Now you can have cookies.
Someone head back to the office and say finish.
I know, that's what I'm trying to get back now.
I know that's right. I know that's right. All right, have a good one.
In there.